Namaste everyone. I welcome you all for today's session. Today we are going to discuss about some of the data mining environment and the techniques which are used in machine learning as well as related to data mining. Whatever we have covered in our previous lectures, we will just try to summarize and we will go into detail the techniques as discussed in the previous lecture. So coming to the environment, we have got a customer which asks us for there is some customer requirements for which a business module has been decided by a company, say, and a business module and a customer module. There is something in between which is called as the analysis module. And basically the database designer or the data mining designer or the machine learning expert. Okay, these are responsible to analyze the analysis module through your OLAP and OLTP transactions and develop a DSS support system. So coming to the data mining analysis, okay, these are the various techniques by which you can find out the relationships or the patterns. As discussed earlier, that association is also a type of relationship, and we had discussed about the if then else loop, which can be used in any of the programming, using any of the programming languages. So let's see these one by one. Okay. So the conditional logic, how you're going to identify a relationship using conditional logic is that if profession is athlete, then age should be less than 30 in 90% of the cases. So this is a condition. In your database system, you have something called as integrity constraints. So conditional logic is nothing but a constraint. Okay, or in programming language, if you say that if this condition, if profession is equal to athlete is true, okay, then this condition is true, because in if else loop, it is like if the condition is true, then this, if this condition is not true, then else part is being executed. Okay, in association, finding relationship through the association rules, when paint is sold, paint brushes are also sold 85% of the time. Now, whether it is data mining or machine learning, both are soft computing applications. What is soft computing applications? Where you get the result as approximate result. You never say that whenever a person will buy paint, he will also buy paint brushes. It's relevant 85% of the cases. That means we can't say that it is 100% true. He or she may have the paint brushes already, okay, but the paint has been occupied, right, or it has been consumed, so the person has gone to go back to get another paint box. Not necessarily that he or she will buy the paint brushes. The point to be cleared here is then whenever is a hard computing application, you will say that 2 plus 2 will always be 4. Okay, you will get the exact outcomes and solutions, which may not change according to situation. But soft computing is that you always have an approximate result, because there are chances that the outcomes or the solutions may change as per the result situation. For example, if you are designing a car system which should stop before the traffic signal, it's an automated car system, okay, without a driver. So the car will try to find out where it can stop, it can occupy its car size, and it will not dash the other vehicle across. It can be that there can be 3 to 4 places the car can be parked. Okay, so it's not that you will get the exact solution that this car should be parked here only. There can be n number of places where the car can be solved. So you will have options, okay, and it's not necessary that after 10 minutes he will get the same place. It may be occupied some another person. So I'm trying to say here is that in soft computations, there is a possibility that the scenario may change depending upon the imprecision and uncertainty issues. That is why the results may not be absolute or exact. They are approximate and they may change according to situations, which is not necessarily in hard computing. Accordingly, there is another analysis of machine learning and data mining, that is trends and variations. So the example here is that the golf balls sales are seasonal, with summer peak and winter they are low. So obviously some items they are consumed in summer, they are not consumed in winter. So they are trends and variations. So this is also one of the pattern mining. You understand why we are what topic we are learning. Topic is data mining and machine learning techniques. Why we are learning these techniques? Ultimately, in the data mining process, we had learned about the uh, pattern evaluation. Okay, so we are trying to find out the patterns. So trends and variations is also one of the pattern mining. Next is outcome prediction. What is the example? How many people can be expected to respond to a mailer campaign? Okay, similarly, forecasting. What will be the total sales of this product range in next quarter, taking into account seasonal and long-term trends? For example, now during lockdown, you may see that the transport system people have been into losses. Okay, the people who are running autos or maybe cab system, okay, suddenly their business trend has dropped down. So what could be the forecasting? They have to keep some preparation. Okay, so forecasting, maybe you have to predict the next quarter future and decide your business plan accordingly. So the people who came to know that approximately there was 3 months lockdown and maybe till Diwali, people are not going to have much social gatherings. Okay, maybe people are going to work much of online. So they have to make their decisions to sustain. So that they have to first forecast, and according to that, their decision plans will go accordingly. So that may be seasonal, right? So those people who are selling maybe raincoats, what they may be selling for another seasons, because after the rainy season will go, their shop would be closed, right? So they have to decide accordingly. Similarly, the another type of analysis and pattern mining would be deviation detection. So example is this insurance claim likely to be a fraud? Okay, so such type of detection which deviates your decision making, you need to take care about. Okay, so in any business plan, there are deviations, okay, which should be, sometimes they should be ignored, but at times they need to be handled, okay, and overcome at serious cases. Another type of pattern mining is link analysis. So you can find out the relationships in the form of links. The example here is quoted is, when a person is fired, he is likely to default on credit card payments. Okay, it's quite natural. Some people go into disaster and they are not able to handle them financially and emotionally, and they end up to such type of attitude. For example, if some student, if the teacher fires that student, so in many of the cases, if student is not very emotionally intelligent to understand that it has been for their own positive thing, in today's world especially, we are seeing that people become very, very hyper. They are not able to manage no. Okay, they are not able to manage negation. They are not able to manage a little bit of overload. Sometimes overloading of the work increases our own capacity, and that's why we do churning on the students, but students are not able to handle it, and they have a no respect type of attitude, which is, in the air, that you should have the rights to speak up, to always react, to always, you can easily you can object on the teacher. So these things are doing what? They are decreasing the patience level of the student. So the term here is, in today's condition, if we fire a student, it is very, very likely that that student is not going to take it positively. It's a very tough situation, okay, but you need to handle this and rather overcome up from it. So it is a link analysis also for the students to keep them associated, also for the teachers to keep them associated. So these were the different types of pattern mining which you can do for knowledge extraction through the data which you have, or you can vice versa develop an algorithm and feed to your system to make it a machine learning algorithm and make it an intelligent system. So what are the data mining users? They are the executives. Generally, data mining applications are used by top level insights, and they spend far less time with computers rather than other groups. Then analysts also use such type of link analysis. They may be financial analysts, statisticians, consultants, or even database designers. Okay, where are these trends being used for data mining applications? Then the end users are the salespersons. Okay, whenever a person starts to find that which business he should do, should always try to see what is the trend going on, how much is the applicability, how much is the link of your knowledge with the customers. Okay, even scientists use this for finding out which algorithm is better than which. Okay, to find out the data and data mining applications to become a business analyst to find out the prediction models. Okay, even the market researchers, like I gave you the example of car manufacturers. So you have to do the research before you actually land up in investing crores on your automobiles. Okay, so engineers also do that, and even physicians, right? Physicians also, data mining is very, very popularly used. If you try to develop a machine learning algorithm to solve a health issue, you need to first test that machine learning algorithms on n number of data, and there the data mining application will get integrated with the machine learning algorithm. So as discussed earlier, okay, you collect the data to the project you're going to work on. You're going to organize the data, that is classification, or maybe you can use clustering. You will integrate the data where you will use from the different resources where you will be using your data mining. Okay, and you will increase the usability scope. The more the number of resources you input, the more usability it will be there. Okay, and then you will finally turn your model into the action. So you create a model, then you do experimentation, and then develop into an action plan and run it on the data itself for testing purpose. Okay. So first, whatever is in the first phase comes again into the last phase. So this is a round phase where the same data is coming as feedback. Okay. So as said in our last presentation, that whatever knowledge you extract from the cleaning, integration, pattern evaluation, that same knowledge you again churn it down in the first phase to create another level of knowledge. The very easy example I gave you was if I start from extracting data as methi, aloo, all the ingredients, and make a methi ka sabji. Okay, and then ultimately your knowledge would be the methi ka sabji, which you can consume it with your rice or maybe roti. Now next day you can use this methi ka sabji, which was the extracted knowledge, as a ingredient itself into the paratha, which you will again start from the first phase. Okay, and you will get some another type of knowledge. Okay, similarly you can use it in your application in a round robin fashion. So ultimately you identify the data. Okay, you transform the data as per your project requirement, then you act on the information, okay, by developing your model and running it, and then you measure the results, and hence you complete the life cycle of your project. And in any type of research, obviously this has to go again back. Okay, this churning has to be done at least 4 to 5 times. Finally you get with a well quality product or an algorithm. So you have to understand the objective first, for which you are determining the business problem, and then translate the business problem into your data mining objective. So while cleaning the data, you have to handle the missing data. You have to do the sampling of the data. We will have a separate lecture, or maybe in research methodology, you might have learned about the sampling methods, which you can use for data collection as well. And then you can categorize your data into continuous binary or categorical. That means data types can be well defined. And finally, they are then transformed as per your requirement. So in cleaning process, you try to even reduce your data as said earlier. So you can use the active role in ignoring non-contributing data. Okay, as said earlier that you can just ignore the two-wheelers if you're concentrating only on cars. You have to handle the outliers, okay, so that your data is reduced if they are of no use, because sometimes if the outliers are definitely not a part of any cluster and you just need to handle them unnecessarily, it will be coming in your prediction model and try to increase your ambiguity. Then you can use different types of samples. The more appropriate your samples is, the more appropriate your testing would be. Okay, and you can also use certain visualizing tools to reduce your data. So this is how you prepare your data in a tabular form. Okay, and then you will summarize it into the column from, for example, if this is a customer data. Okay, so you have this column from the customer information file. You have integrated it from the different resources and try to make it in a single format. So the more the amount of training is, the more less your error will be, and it will be able to handle the new data. So you can always cross validation, means that you use 10% of the samples to test 90% of the data, or rather you use 20 and 80 rule. 20 and 80 rule means you use 20% of the data to test the 80% of the data. You use your 20% of the knowledge, okay, to test the 80% of the data. So break up your data into groups of the same size and hold aside the group for testing and use the rest of the model and then repeat. So if there is 5, you have used the 20% of the data to test the 80% of the data. So ultimately, this new data, which we were trying to say, is divided according to this diagram. The entire data modeling is divided into supervised learning, the modeling, as we said. This process is divided into modeling, and this old data and new data. Looking at that diagram, the different scenario has gone into picture, where we divided the DM process into modeling, and modeling into two types of basic models, and that is supervised model and unsupervised model. Okay, so supervised model means that all your data is seen. Okay, it's very, very simple. The terms may look very complicated, but as simple as that, that all your training of the data, whichever you are feeding your machine for learning purpose, that is all a seen data. Okay, whereas an unsupervised learning is that every data is unseen data. Okay, for example, if you are doing a face recognition system, so all the already defined faces, you try to see how it should be designed and how you should develop your model, but they are all seen faces, so obviously the output would not go wrong. The output would be tested actually when some unseen faces you try to make your action according to your algorithm. Okay, so you test your algorithm on that unseen data, and then if you get the accurate result, then you say that your algorithm is well designed. Okay, so but in reality, there is a combination known as semi-supervised learning. What is semi-supervised learning? That you train on the 20% seen data. Okay, so you use your supervised learning there, model there, and then you test on the 80% unseen data as discussed earlier. Okay, over here, that is known as cross validation, 80-20% rule. So when you apply that, then you call it as a semi supervised learning. And any database or a machine learning expert generally use the combination of these two techniques, supervised and unsupervised, and they try to use the semi supervised mode to get a better accurate result. Okay. So types of models, we will just brief it here and then we can go into detail in our next lecture. The descriptive modeling and the predictive modeling. So are we trying to predict what will happen, or we describe the state of world? So when we describe any state of activity in our project, then we use the descriptive modeling approach. But if we are using any predictive type of algorithm, which we are, when we are trying to predict something, then we use the predictive modeling. So as the name suggests, here we are trying to use the descriptive modeling, and here we are using the predictive modeling. So there are three main algorithms in descriptive modeling: clustering. So in our previous lecture, we learned about the techniques which we used for pattern evaluation. So when we are using the descriptive approach, then clustering can be used. If again we are using descriptive approach, association can be used, and sequence discovery, that means sequence mining, can also be used. Whereas for predictive, it is classification, regression, and time series. Now, clustering, association, sequence, and classification. And obviously, in our last two lectures, we also discussed about the regression. So these things we have already discussed. Here should only we note this, that they are data mining techniques and machine learning techniques. Just to summarize in terms of modeling, okay, they have been classified into descriptive and predictive. So in our previous lecture, we said that clustering is a part of classification itself. But when we are trying to describe something, then we can use clustering. And if we are trying to predict something, then we should go for clustering algorithms. Okay. Again, we will be discussing in general what are the clustering algorithms, what are the classification algorithms. Just to summarize here the types of models. So description models for clustering and associations. What are the algorithms? The clustering algorithms are k-means and Cohen. For association algorithms, they are a priori and the GRI. We are going to discuss each algorithms in detail in our upcoming lectures. For the prediction models, for regression and classification, okay, we have, for regression, we have neural networks, rule induction, and the CART algorithms. For classification algorithms, we have CHAID, C5.0, using the descriptive analysis and the logistic regression. And some models that are better than others, these models are used for accuracy and understanding. So as we discussed here, that time series is also used, but it is rarely used in research because it fails in terms of accuracy, okay, and precision, or maybe in understanding point of view, because see, time goes on changing very rapidly. Okay, so in that particular case, your model then fails. So you need to identify some generalized models. Okay, that is why in our previous lectures, we mostly highlighted on these types of techniques. So again, I will repeat two types of models: descriptive and predictive. These three are descriptive, these three are predictive. But what are these? These are the techniques which are used for descriptive models. Whereas for these algorithms, k-means and Cohen are the algorithms. Okay. So if now I ask you what is k-means? K-means is a clustering algorithm used for descriptive modeling, right? Whereas neural networks is the regression algorithm used for prediction models, where you need to either implement the classification or the regression. Okay, so we will stop here, and next time we will try to take all these algorithms in detail. Okay, thank you very much for your patience listening. If you have any doubt, please ask me on the group or mail me on the given mail ID. I will be happy to solve your doubts.